football and more football as we kick off the officially return of the NFL Power Hour. Of course, we'll talk college football before then as we gear up for some great matchups for week 2. Our girl Christine Manika is back from KXRB. Pick'ems are back, kids. Let's get to it. Also, too, of course, baseball. Cubs make history as a beloved member of the 2016 squad makes his return, long way return to Wrigley Field. That and a whole lot more as Second City Sports comes at you the first Friday of September, starting right now. Happy Friday, folks. Welcome to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Again, I'm Lakina McGee. You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter, X, and Kena's going to get the IG. Again, flying solo because Sid's still stuck over at jury duty. So hopefully we'll be back on Monday. You can watch us anytime every Monday and Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. If you have War Media, you got the War Media app. Just go to Sports Zone Chicago and War Media on both the website and the app. You can catch the auto replay of our show. Also, too, you can catch it anytime, anywhere on Roku TV. You can catch our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellows, and so much more. Of course, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV. And so, of course, we're going to be kicking things off here right now. We have a busy sports show coming up for you as like I said in the teaser, we talk NFL. We had a great game last night. We got a great matchup coming up tonight in Brazil. Also, too, of course, we'll talk Bears and Titans. We'll preview that and the rest of week 1 slate. Some very good matchups. And with our girl Christine Mack from KXRB, she makes her return, as well as our pick'em segment makes a return, and as well as our divisional winners and so much more. I already got Sis in front of me, so I'll talk to you guys more about that later on in the show. But first, of course, if you guys saw, it was history with the Cubs over at Wrigley as the Cubs avoid the sweep. I mean, that, forget the fact that it was a combined no-hitter, but they did avoid the sweep thanks to an 11-0 win against Pittsburgh. Like I said, avoiding the sweep. So shout out to, and it was kind of interesting kind of how all that sort of played out. But I know some people will say, "Oh, well, it's not a real no hitter because, oh, well, it says it's only one person should have only pitched 95." And of course, Nate Pearson and Porter Hodge also finished up the no hitter, the 18th in Cubs history. The very first at Wrigley, going all the way back to 1972 with Milt Pappas. It was the first time. It's actually a pretty big gap there for teams, for home and home, having home no hitters at home. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how that all kind of worked out. But even still, I mean, look, it's still a no hitter. I know Shota. I know people were kind of laughing at Shota because he kind of took it sort of like, interpret or not, I think he kind of came across as, oh, well, no one really. He said it kind of takes it happens like once a night or something in Japan. And I know some people kind of saw some folks were like, oh, it's not a real no hitter, blah blah blah. I mean, it's still a no hitter. It goes in the record books. I mean, it's not easy to do. And if it wasn't some early errors early on for the Cubs, that could have been a perfect game. So if that had been a combined perfect game, would folks have been bitching about that? So, but I digress. But yeah, even still, the Cubs avoid the sweep, 12-0 against Pittsburgh. They play the Yankees starting today. And beloved figure makes his return to Wrigley as Mr. Anthony Rizzo. If you saw, he's been making the rounds all across the field. I guess like a couple of the Cubs PR people actually help escort him back to Wrigley. It's actually pretty cool to see. I know this is yes, he's been back here in Chicago against the White Sox, of course, but it's actually his first trip back to Wrigley. I think that's why people are making a big deal about it. So if you're the Cubs, you want to try to maybe win 2 of these 3 so you can kind of get it going there. You're still right there in the wild card. We'll talk about that after the break. But I think if you're the Cubs, you want to try to kind of keep that momentum going. Like, not like the first, although they probably should have won that Monday game. That Tuesday game got away from them. Now with this that Wednesday game, of course, they got the combined no hitter. But it's sort of one of those days where you just have to kind of wonder, like, okay, I don't want to say this series with the Yankees is make or break, but it kind of is because at this point, you really can't afford to. You've got to win at least sweeping. Okay, yeah, sweeping might be a bit of a stretch, but even still, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how all that kind of plays out. Let me get the pitching matchups for you all. Today, you got Luis Gil, who has had his struggles lately, but it looks like he's got back on track his last couple of starts against Jordan Wicks. Um, Saturday, tomorrow, if you guys give me a second here, it's also an early game. We got Javier Assad against Clark Schmidt. Schmidt's been kind of up and down. I know Assad's been really solid for the Cubs in his last few starts, so we'll see how that goes there. And of course, I pop ups. You gotta love pop ups, folks. Let me see the Sunday matchup as that comes up. But yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting to see if if the Cubs, like I said, just win 2 out of 3, and then maybe you can try to make a go at it in the National League wild card because getting a little bit crowded. There have been some changes. Yeah, Garrett Colon against Jameson Taillon. That might be a tough one for the Cubs. I'm talking about that Sunday matchup, but it's one of those matchups where if you're the Cubs, you want to try to win 2 out of 3. Like I said, a sweep might be a bit of a stretch, but I think they can kinda just win 2 out of 3 and then just hope and pray because some of the other matchups, some of the other teams have been playing lately in the National League. Like I said, I'll get to that after the break, but it's gonna get a little bit tough for the Cubs as we kinda get it going here. We're going into the last 3, 2.5, a little over 3 weeks, just under 3 weeks left in the season, and it's gonna be one of those days where you just don't know what you're gonna get with the Cubs. So, we'll see what happens with them. I guess this is definitely you're getting to the stretch where Yankees are playing well. After them, you play the Dodgers. They've been playing better as of late, the Dodgers have. So, I'm going to be interested to see how this sort of plays out for the Cubs. So it should be some interesting matchups here. And if you guys have anything to say about baseball, I know you have some NFL thoughts coming up, especially about last night's game. Feel free to comment on our social media pages of Sports on Chicago, right there on the Facebook, right there on the YouTube channel. It's all right there for you. Yeah, I will put them up as soon as I see them if they're good. So this is Second City Sports on Sports with Chicago. Keen McGee here with you. Now let's talk some, maybe for equal time, I guess we'll talk some White Sox. That's all you can really say about the White Sox at this point because it just like, you really can't. I mean, 21 more games. That's all. 20, 20 more games. That's all I have for you. It's kind of wild that they're breaking all the records for all the wrong reasons. They did. Yeah, I know they won against Baltimore, but that was just like okay. You kind of wonder that Baltimore that was just like they weren't really into it. I think a lot of some of their top guys didn't play, so they really didn't care about that game. So yeah, I mean, whatever. Look, you're still unfortunately, for the White Sox, you're still you got your 32nd win of the season. Yay for you. But you're going to be facing the Red Sox team that still has a little bit of an outside shot at the AL wild card, but they haven't been playing their best either. So could you probably win one of these games? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, but then like some of those guys are done for the year. I know Thorpe, he's done for the year. I don't know why they're trying to bring Moncada back. I mean, there's only 20 some games left, so there's really no point in bringing him back at this point. So I just like no, I don't think so. But I guess with the White Sox, I mean, that's all you can say. Um, you know, they did get one game. Like I said, they got one game against Baltimore. That's nice. So it's interesting how all that kind of played out. But yeah, that's about it. The White Sox talk. So I'm sure even Sid was probably like, "Nah, I don't hear enough of the White Sox. Let's get to the rest of." Well, okay. Well, let's get to the rest of baseball these last couple of days because I think for me, the baseball has really been pretty good lately. I mean, Philadelphia got it's gonna get interesting because it's getting a little bit tight in the wild card with. Like I said, with the Yankees coming to Chicago facing the Cubs, they're a half game back of Baltimore going into this game coming up. And also look at the Guardians in the Central and the AL Central. They've kind of had put up some distance between themselves. I mean, they did lose against the Royals, who they should have gotten the sweep, but it was a close one. So it was going to be tough in the rubber match there in that series. But they did put a little bit of distance between themselves and Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota, those last couple of days, they're four back. I'm talking about Minnesota is, and they did they split their series with Tampa Bay, and I think that's not what you want if you're Minnesota. You want to try to maybe, if you could have gained a game in that series, but you do play Kansas City. You'll come starting tonight, so I'll get to that in a second. We talk about the scheduling, but yeah, I think if for baseball, I think this is really a interesting time of year there for 4.5 four back, I should say, for Minnesota. Going into the West, I mean, it's getting a little interesting in the West, in the AL West. I mean, I kind of left my Mariners for dead, but they did get a little bit help. They can thank Cincinnati because they swept the Astros. Sorry, Brandon, if you're our buddy Brandon Schultz, who if you're watching or listening to this, but yeah, you got swept by Cincy of all teams, and it's just like you left a lot of, home. You gave up a lot of runs. I mean, Ty France, was the kind of like the star of that series for them, and it's kind of interesting, kind of all how they kind of like sort of play out in that front. But yeah, I mean, look, they're 4.5 back. A couple Seattle. I know Seattle. They had a tough loss, but they could look. They're still right there in the division, so we'll see. I mean, look, they look, they've got an outside shot. I guess I'm not really too. Unfortunately, I'm not really too confident in them, but they did win 2 out of 3 after losing the. They ended up swinging their series with Oakland, which I don't think that was a bad way to go if you're Seattle. If you're still trying to stay within distance in the American League West, I should say. So they play the Cardinals, so we'll see what happens there during that matchup. Now going to the National League, I mean, just Philadelphia has been really good. They're kind of getting it together. I mean, they they won their mini two gamer against Toronto in Toronto. They got Florida. They won the opener of that series, 5-2. They're taking care of business against teams they should beat. And listen to what Mr. Schwarber, speaking of former Cubs, Kyle Schwarber, I should say, that's been doing. I'm gonna get that set up here for you guys. I mean, he's been sort of, tearing the ball up these last few weeks. It's been, amazing for him. And I don't know if he can make a case for but he definitely can make a case for like the triple crown. I don't know if he'll be able to get MVP honors, but I think he's had like 12 home runs in the last few weeks and had like 19 extra bases or something like that, which is among tops in lately. So yeah, it's been really solid in there now. Now staying in the AL East is interesting because they've gotten a little bit distance between themselves and the Mets and the Braves, but the Mets have been playing very very well lately. They they swept the Red Sox. They took care of business there, and they now have that third wild card spot. And check this out. The Astros and the Mets, I'm putting the Astros in there too. Now they have gone from 11 games under 5 to 11 games over 500, and that's the only season in the history of MLB where multiple teams have made such a feat was back in '05. The Astros and the A's, and also in 1916, the old Browns and Giants. So, yeah, I mean that was a really like I said, remember I made fun of them early on, saying that they're the messy Mets. Well, they're not that messy lately. And Francisco Lindor, he's making a case for NL MVP honors. Their pitch has been really good lately, so we'll see if the Mets can kind of hang in there and get those things. And they're not going to be with Martinez for a couple of days because he's expect he and his wife are expecting, but I think their baby's due any second. But yeah, I think if you're the Mets, you gotta be feeling pretty good where you're at right now. Now going to the Central, the NL Central. I mean, I know the Brewers lost, their last couple, but I'm kind of like, not really, doesn't really matter at this point. Also too in the West, you got the Dodgers going here, and they did lose against the Angels. That's a tough one to lose. They lost 10-1, so that was a not a good loss if you're the Dodgers, especially if you're trying to put some distance between yourself and your NLS rivals. But like I said on Wednesday, that the good thing about it is that they are playing meaningful baseball. They are kind of, I guess this is sort of a way to make sure they're battle tested going into the playoffs, which I think yeah, I think this might actually help them a bit. So we'll see what happens. I know the Padres had like have another good comeback earlier this week, and it's kind of interesting. Like I said, I don't know which team. I know they lost yesterday, but I don't know which Padres team I'm going to get at this point. So I'm just like, like just when you thought that maybe the Padres could figure this out, they have a interesting. I wouldn't say bad loss, but an interesting loss. I'll say it that way. In the finish of the series against Detroit. Now they do play the Giants. Well, I'm sure Giants will love to play spoiler. So, like I said, I'll get to the schedule in a second. But like I said, the wild card is getting a little interesting because of course, you got everyone's chasing KC. Detroit, I know I saw Detroit and Seattle. They still have 5 games up, but they really need to get on a roll here if they want any shot to perhaps maybe try to perhaps maybe make it interesting in that AL Central. But I think it's between those three. It's going to be dependent on how Steny is, how everyone finished up their season. If you had told me that at this point there would be 3 teams that could be in line going to the playoffs, I would thought you were from the AL Central. I thought you would be crazy. But look, baseball's a crazy sport at times, so we'll see. Also, same thing with the NL wild card, the Padres, the D-backs. And don't look now, the Mets now have that spot right now because yes, they're tied with Atlanta, but the Mets have the tiebreaker, so that's why. And for those who wonder who are the Cubs are, they're 4 back now as we're recording this. So we'll see if they can kind of get it going. They're talking about the Cubs against the Yankees. Gonna be a little tough, but we'll see what they can do here. Now going into the schedule, I know I'm up against it. So as I'm getting the schedule up, all right, as I told you, the Yankees and the Cubs, they're facing each other starting today in about an hour from now. You can keep if you got Mark, you can keep the game on mute while you're listening to me and watching me and our girl Christine Mack from KXRB comes on in a bit. Colorado and Milwaukee, Washington and Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay and Baltimore. That should be an interesting series. That usually is between those two. The White Sox against the Red Sox. Yeah, I have nothing to say about that one either. Cincinnati and the Mets. The Reds are starting to play spoiler for some of these teams, so Mets better watch out. Philadelphia, they continue their series against Miami, Toronto, and Atlanta. I know again Toronto's another team that's trying to play spoiler for some of these other teams. You got the Angels and Texas, Arizona, and Houston. That should be a fun series down there in Arlington. The Apple TV Plus game for Friday. You got Minnesota and Kansas City. You've got the MLB app. You can watch it there if you don't have Apple TV Plus, especially if you're in the Twin Cities and KC. Seattle and St. Louis. Seattle, keep it going. Hopefully you can kind of make some inroads there. With Houston playing a tough team like Arizona, Detroit, and Oakland. The second game, the Apple TV Plus doubleheader, well, regional coverage, I guess, because it's going to start about 8:40 tonight. You got the Bay Area and the Bay, out of the Sands. You got San Francisco and San Diego. Like I said, I'm sure San Fran will love to play spoilers, so that should be an interesting series. That'll be on Apple TV Plus, the first game of that one, and the Guardians and the Dodgers. They wrapping up that schedule there. Your other television schedule is get it up here. You got the Fox regional game. You got the Angels and Tex and the Rangers. Those who here in Chicago will unfortunately get the White Sox and the Red Sox. Sorry, folks. And I think most nation will get Minnesota and KC because that game actually means something. You got the Roku game of the week at 11:05 on Sunday. You got Tampa Bay and Baltimore. Also, you got they got a special Sunday game, of course, all this month. Apple TV Plus will be showing a Sunday game. You have Apple TV Plus, you get extra baseball game to see. Last game, that San Francisco, San Diego series, and Arizona and Houston will be your Sunday night baseball matchup coming up. That should be a fun one there. Now we'll take a really quick break, of course. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for bearing with me here as I'm finally still here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We go to the gridiron, but first we're going to talk about college. We got a great matchup coming up, even some local matchups as well involving our local teams. A top 15 squad, a rematch of an old bowl game from back in the day, and also to an old Big 8/Big 12 matchup coming up next. Lakita McGee, you guys fine still here. Thank you guys for, like I said, thanks you guys for bearing with me here. Second City Sports on Chicago. We start our gridiron talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on Chicago. I'm Lakina McGee. You can follow my Kina McGee on the Twitter, X, and again the IG. Of course, notice that today got stuck at jury duty again, but hopefully he'll be back with us on Monday. No worries though. We're gonna soldier on here and talk some college football. We're gonna kick off our gridiron power hour and a half, I guess, for the rest of the show. So can't wait for that now. We'll start off with some Friday's matchups because, of course, there's some good matchups coming up. Probably the marquee matchup coming up this will be on FS1 at 8:00. You're gonna be seeing the gorgeous. I think they're gonna be playing. I gotta figure out where they're playing at. Yeah, because it's gonna be Duke and Northwestern. These two teams are becoming like your old hats, and it's kind of a pick 'em because I guess what Northwestern is favored by 2. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how all this sort of plays out. They're two very similar styles. I think we'll see if Northwestern can kind of you know back off that a nice win against Miami of Ohio. They're going to be playing at Lanny and Sharon Martin Stadium, which is just outside of just right near the campus. So that's going to be a really cool site there. Yep. Duke had, Duke faced Elon. They beat them pretty handily. So, it's going to be interesting to see how both these teams are both very similar. They're both, bringing in new QBs and new players and stuff. So, we'll see how that looks. It could be definitely be a pick 'em. You also have, a little bit before that, at 6 o'clock, you got BYU and SMU. That should be a fun one there. That's going to be on ESPN2. And Indiana and Western Michigan, another early game at 6 o'clock. That'll be on the Big Ten Network. So, those are your games for Friday. Now let's go into the tomorrow's matchup. This game is probably like the biggest matchup of all of them. You got Michigan and hosting Texas at the Big House. Number 3 Texas against number 13 Michigan. And this is for those of you who are old school. This is the whole matchup from the '04 Rose Bowl, which Texas pulled away from Michigan late. That was like many years ago. But this is, I think, it's only the third or fourth, the second or third meet between the two. So it's gonna be kinda interesting to see how both I know, Michigan needed a late rally against Fresno State, so kinda I'm a little worried about this matchup from Michigan because I think, like I said, they're bringing in a whole bunch of new people coming in as IVL. Sorry about that, folks. My camera went on pause for a second, so let's the technical difficulties here. Let me see if I can get back going here. Give me a second to refresh. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. I gotta love live, live anything. But yeah, my Wi-Fi went out for a second. But yeah, going into this matchup, like I said, between Michigan and Texas. I mean, this is gonna be a very interesting matchup because, like I said, Michigan is the underdog. They're Texas favored by 4, and Quinn Ewers. I mean, you got he had a really nice showing as UTEP on last Saturday, and like I said, Michigan's bringing in a whole bunch of new guys. So of course it'll probably be a little bit could be still a little bit like I don't want to say growing pains, but it's going to be a little bit of a kind of cathartic, kind of how all that works. But looking forward to it. This should be a good matchup. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I will say though that Texas maybe is the better team. That's why I think they're favored. If you go through all that, but yeah, it should be a good one. That place over at the Big House is going to be rocking, and that should be a great matchup. That's going to be the big noon Saturday game coming up on the Big Fox Network, coming up at 11 a.m. So the other matchups, not really too many matchups. I know you got Penn State and Bowling Green. That'll be on BTN. This should be a decent matchup. You got Arkansas and Oklahoma State. I doubt this could be like first to 60. If you're in the defense, I mean, this could be one of those like first to 60 wins. But yeah, that should be an interesting matchup down there in Stillwater. We got K State going on the road against Tulane. The upcoming Tulane squad. That'll be 11 a.m. on ESPN Plus. Oh, the Arkansas Oklahoma State games on ABC, by the way, and ESPN Plus streaming there. AC Network. You got another matchup. We got Georgia Tech and Syracuse. That should be a fun one there on the AC Network at 11 a.m. You got Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. That should be an interesting one on ESPN2. Army, our buddy Randy Cross will be on the call for that game on CBS Sports Network. They'll be playing Florida Atlantic on ESPN Plus. And see that we got Georgia and Tennessee Tech. They shouldn't have no problems there. I don't think I can see a letdown for Georgia against Tennessee Tech. I just don't think that's going to happen. You've got Northern Illinois and Notre Dame. That game will be on that'll be on NBC and Peacock at 2:30. Shouldn't I mean, they shouldn't really have no problems with Northern Illinois, but look, we saw what happened against Marshall a couple years ago. So, maybe he's ill for the MAC, I guess. Utah hosting Baylor. That should be a fun Big 12 matchup. That's weird for me to say that now on the Big Fox Network. That's coming up at 2:30. The Battle of Iowa's Iowa State and Iowa at 2:30 on CBS and streaming, of course, on Paramount Plus as well. So that should be a interesting matchup there. I know Iowa scored 48 points against Illinois State. It's always a fascinating when these two state rivals play each other. Should be interesting that matchup there. You got Louisville against hosting Jacksonville State on ESPN Plus. You got Auburn and California is the battle of the ACC. I know it's weird saying the ACC versus the SEC and Auburn. Should be a good one here in the SEC. You got speaking of the SEC, you got an all SEC matchup here. You got South Carolina and Kentucky on ABC at 2:30. That should be an interesting matchup. I mean, look, you never really know what you're going to get with this matchup. So it should be a good one. Yes, you got the farting Mark Stoops against Shane Bieber. That should be an interesting coaching matchup there, to say the least. Michigan State and Maryland, that'll be on the Big Ten Network. Washington hosting Eastern Michigan. That's also going to be on the Big Ten Network. Yeah, I know it's weird saying that. Wisconsin had to claw their way from their game last week, but they host South Dakota. That's going to be on FS1. Let's see here. North Carolina hosting Charlotte. Not saying that should be on upset alert, but that game's gonna be on the AC Network at the same time at 2:30. True TV, and also streaming on Max. Remember, they got games going on right now as well. You got Wyoming hosting the Fighting Mark Sheriffs and Idaho, and I know Wyoming will love to kind of bounce back from that just getting pounded by Arizona State. So we'll see what happens in that game. Navy and Temple. That's going to be the second game. That's CBS Network quadruple header. Middle Tennessee and Ole Miss. That's on the SEC Network. The CW Network game of the week. Virginia Tech hoping to bounce back from that tough loss at Vanderbilt. They face Marshall. That's going to be at 3:30. Miami and Florida A&M. They host them on ESPN Plus. Let's see any other matchups to note that I should. Let's here you got South Florida and Alabama on ESPN at 6. We're going to the night games now, and I know that I know Alabama would love to play a little return of favor from last year, because remember, if you guys remember that game last year, South Florida probably not for a couple of plays probably should have beaten Alabama down there in Tampa, and I'm interested to see how I know it's a totally different South Florida team than last year. You still got Jalen Monroe over there down there in Bama, but should Kalen DeBoer got his first win. I know he got that out the way, so it should be interesting to see how that matchup goes. We'll see this time around, but it should be an intriguing. They shouldn't really have no problem talking about Alabama, because like I said, a lot of those guys from South Florida are gone now, so we'll see what happens there. The Fighting Mike Burma, as I call them, Mizzou had a nice start. They host Buffalo. No, not the Buffalo Bills. These are the Buffalo Bulls from the MAC. So, no, they're not facing Josh Allen and the rest of that group. No, they're not doing that. Going into a good matchup here for the Illini. They face Kansas. And, of course, if you guys remember last year, they did keep it close for a little bit against Kansas down in Lawrence, but Kansas pulled away late, and I hear it's sold out down there in Champaign. So I'm sure a lot of Kansas fans have made it. It's not really that too far, I guess, if you want to do the whole driving thing. I think it's about a 9 or 10 hour drive. So I'm sure a lot of folks, a lot of Jayhawk fans have made the trek from Lawrence to Champaign. So that should be a fun. It should be an interesting matchup. That's going to be at 6 o'clock on FS1. I'm not gonna say that Kansas should be an upset alert, because look, I mean, Kansas is the better team. Of course, they got Jalen Daniels, not Jaden, but Jalen Daniels from. I know some people probably get them mixed up, but look, they had a pretty solid Luke Allmeyer. We'll see how he looks. That Kansas defense, though, is actually really solid, so we'll see how he does against that defense. To me, if you're Illinois, you want to have a shot at this upset, try to feed off the crowd. Like I said, I know the crowd's going to be rocking. I know the folks there are going to be cheering very hard for the Illini, especially since this is usually a basketball matchup between these two. So they've had their meetings in the basketball matchups over the last, I think, 25 years. So football. I'm glad they're starting to make this series of football. But yeah, it should be an entertaining match. Like I said, I think Kansas still wins, but I think I think Illinois will definitely keep it close. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I just don't see Brett Bielema's guys doing that. This is Second Seed Sports on Sports Social Chicago. Lakeem McGee here with you as we go through some of these college football matchups for week two. I mean, like I said, they're yeah, it's not really sexy, but there's still some good matchups here because you got all the ACC one here, Virginia and Wake Forest. That's gonna be on ESPN2. That matchup there, you got Air Force hosting San Jose State. That should be a fun one. In the Mountain West, that's gonna be on CBS Sports Network. You got another True TV game, their doubleheader, Georgia Southern and Nevada. That's gonna be on True TV and it's gonna be streaming on Max. So if you have Max, you can stream the games on there. Like I said, this is sort of a way to, this is kind of a rebirth from True TV. I guess they're doing. You're not gonna see a lot of Impractical Jokers anymore, unfortunately, if you're a big fan of that show. Now going to the late matchups, you got Ohio State. They host Western Michigan. Shouldn't have no trouble there with Western Michigan. That's going to be on BTN. Now another good matchup that I feel like is not getting a lot of attention, and I think it should. Yeah, number 14 Tennessee going up against number 24 NC State down there in. They're going to be in Charlotte. They're going to be playing. They're actually going to be playing where the Panthers play down in the Bank of America Stadium down in Charlotte. That should be a really fun matchup. And I feel like this matchup is not getting a lot of the love just because you think, well, you got Tennessee, which is sort of, then you got North Carolina, which is they're okay. They're not great, but like I said, I think Imaliva from Tennessee had a really solid start. 3 TDs. Aaron McCall. I mean, NC State did were given a hard time in their first game. So I'm thinking that's probably why some people are kind of iffy on NC State, but I think they might have been caught looking ahead to this game, which I mean, look, it happens. That's why I think some people say are picking Tennessee. They're a 4.5 point fave. Now, like I said, I think it should be even though Raleigh and Charlotte's only like about like 2 hours away, but it's not too far from Knoxville either. So I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of Tennessee fans there as well. It should be a good matchup this game. And I think it's because of what happened last week, for NC State. That's why some people are kind of like, maybe they were overranked, but I think it should be an entertaining matchup. You can watch the game at 6:30 on ABC and ESPN Plus. LSU hoping to bounce back from that tough loss against SC. In Vegas, they face Nichols. They shouldn't have no trouble with that. Look, you wanna, this should definitely help. I think Brian Kelly will be okay now. He'll get his Southern accent back. Okay, this one here at 6:30, also see it's on NBC, also stream on Peacock. If you're a Big 12 slash Big 8 slash Big 12, grew up in that era like me, this is the matchup that you're looking forward to. This one, you got Colorado and Nebraska. This is good. Like I said, in Lincoln, that place is gonna be rocking. Like I said, old Big 8 slash Big 12 vibes going on there. This should be a really entertaining. You got Shadura Sanders, the veteran, going up against Dylan Raiola. We talked about him with our buddy Dave Repson from the Big Ten Network. He had a really good showing last week, and it's gonna be interesting to see. Like, he's a true freshman. This is gonna be. Look, Colorado has had an extra day to prepare and such, but yeah, this should be a fun one. They gotta get their defense going. We'll see how Travis Hunter does. That defense from Nebraska, and Matt Rule's gonna have his guys ready as well. This should be a really fun one coming up tomorrow on NBC and streaming on Peacock. They've got Nebraska's a favorite 6.5. I think I would probably take the points there because I just think that there's this it's kind of like the sense of like I know that Nebraska people, I'm sure they would love to forget all the shenanigans happened with Coach Prime and all that. Just the fact that this is sort of old rivalry that's being reborn, I think that's going to be like the big test. So it should be a very entertaining game coming up tomorrow on NBC and of course streaming on Peacock. Yeah, Oklahoma and Houston. They'll be facing. There should be an interesting matchup at 6:45 on the still hard to say SEC network. I know it's still weird to say. Clemson hoping to bounce back from the loss to Georgia. They host Appalachian State. That's going to be on the ACC network at 7. We got Oregon needed a tough one against Idaho last week, but they face a very tough matchup. Again, might be one of the cases of they might have been caught looking ahead to Boise State. That should be a fun matchup coming up. That's gonna be the late game. And remember, folks, this is all going to be on Peacock. So if you got Peacock, get a free membership, or maybe like I said, I don't endorse, but like I said, get a password for one of your friends or family members to help you out there. But yeah, that should be it. This should be a very entertaining match. That's another that's not getting looked upon. Northern Arizona. I guess you can go take the over with that game, but I think Arizona shouldn't have no trouble there. Wazoo, the late matchup here on Fox. You got Texas Tech and Wazoo, Washington State. That should be a interesting one there. That's going to be at 9 o'clock. That's the late game there. Liberty and New Mexico State, Upstart Liberty and New Mexico State on ESPN2 at 9:15. Arizona State and Mississippi State. That should be an interesting one there on ESPN. San Diego State hosting Oregon State. CBS Sports Network at 9:30, and a late matchup on, again, this is where we would say, the Big Ten Network. Utah State, the Aggies. There's been a lot of upheaval there with the coaching staff. Google's your friend, folks, as I always say. I'm gonna find out the matchup there. Lincoln Riley and his guys. Hopefully they hoping to avoid the letdown. Of course, a short week. They host a very solid Utah State squad. That's going to be the late game at 10 o'clock on Big Ten Network. Again, that's hard for me to say. Some of these West Coast teams, I mean, Washington's going to have a game on the Big Ten Network. Now USC is going to have a late game on it's all very weird, but you live and learn. It's getting interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I think that is your schedule for this weekend in college football. And I think for me, I think this is going to be a very interesting. Some of these matchups, you don't lose a playoff spot in week one, but you can make it harder on yourself. And with the new format, with it being 12 teams, you wonder, like, is it gonna are we gonna see a two, like, or is that you may see a 3 or 4 loss team that might sneak up in there? Because I know they said that you gotta be either a conference championship or like a at large. So I guess how they're gonna formulate this, but it'll be interesting to see how this kind of all maps out. Look, we got a long way from now, so this is only week 2, but you just don't never know. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how all these teams. We'll see if teams like USC uh, can avoid letdowns. Can LSU bounce back? Um, Northwestern and Duke. I mean, we'll get the smart schools, I guess, a battle of the smart schools. We'll see who wins that matchup tonight. Can Michigan make it a game against Texas? Because apparently Sharon Moore is working without a contract. So I guess what they're saying, I guess they're saying this is a tryout, I guess, for him. I guess so. But got a tough start. It's a pretty you got to think that hopefully if you're Michigan, a Michigan fan, you hope they do get better as the season goes. They're going to be battle tested. They're going to be facing a Texas team that, like I said, I don't think it's gonna be a blow. I know some people have already predicted that, but I just don't see that. I mean, I feel like this is gonna be one of those matchups where it could be even more interesting than you think. So it should be interesting to see what happens there with that matchup. Tennessee and NC State. Like I said before, I know people I know, like I said, I haven't heard anybody really talk about this game very much because, they had to, Northwestern Carolina, I should say, they kept it very close. I think it was tied at the half, or they only had a 3-point lead or something like that. That's why some people were saying that they were kind of sour on this game. I just think it was one of those, they got caught maybe looking ahead to this matchup, which, look, it happens. When you have a big matchup coming up in week 2, you kind of tend to, look past your first opponent, and especially if you know that you should be beating them pretty handily. So I think it will be close. I think Tennessee, and it should be one of the more thrilling games coming up down the pike. So yeah, some great matchups on the various networks and such. So make sure you guys check them out as much as you can. And I think the good thing about it is that I had all time to talk college football. So yeah, so yeah, I'm glad about that. Now, hour number 1 officially in the books. Hour number 2 straight ahead, coming up on Second City Sports. Sports of Chicago. In a few minutes, our girl Christine Mack from KXRB will be joining me to not only provide reinforcements, thankfully, but also we're going to have all of our not only week 1 picks, but also the return of those. But also we're going to have our divisional picks. So again, please do not take my face value, folks. Do not do that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Of course, next up we're gonna not only we're gonna recap, of course, a great Ravens Chiefs battle from last night that came down to a big toe, oddly enough. We're gonna also preview a great matchup with the Packers and the Eagles coming up down in Sao Paulo in Brazil coming up tonight. And also, too, of course, we'll do a little Bears Titans as well before we get to our picks. So our NFL Power Hour is back. Coming up next, Lakina McGee, Second City Sports. Again, thank you for staying with me and bearing with me as I am doing all this stuff on the fly here. This is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We go to the NFL side of the gridiron coming up right after this. And if I can get this going here. Sorry about that live, folks. Okay. More NFL coming up next. Keenan McGee, Second City Sports on Sports in Chicago. Hour number 2 coming up right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Solve it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Lakina McGee. You follow me, Keena McGee on the Twitter. Execute again the IG. As we, of course, like I said, no Sid today. Hopefully, like I said, he'll be back next week. Of course, got the jury duty again. But like I said, I'm holding down the fort for you guys right now. Our girl Christine Manika, KXRB, will be joining us in a little bit to provide some her, and also of course we're going to do our pickups and such. So yeah, it should be a fun hour number 2 coming up. Now we're kicking off our annual NFL Power Hour, and I'm always excited for this time of year because look, NFL's back. Now we had a great matchup last night, and I have to say this is probably one of the better opening game matchups between the Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. 27-20, the Chiefs hang on to beat the Ravens, thanks so much in part to is Isaiah Likely not knowing where he is, and look, by the stem of a tippy toe, unfortunately. And yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that they had to. This is how you lose, and you don't want to. As the saying goes, it's always like, and if football in general is always a game of inches, and unfortunately, the tippy toes, his big toe got the best of that, and replay can be a blessing and a curse at times because unfortunately, because I'm sure John Harbaugh, he already had like when they thought they had scored, he already had two fingers saying they were going to go for two. So it would have been nice if they had tried it, and then who knows what would have happened after that. But a tough loss for Baltimore and such. I mean, Xavier Worthy had a couple of good matchups. I think. Look, I know. Look, I got into it a little bit with Chiefs fans last night after the game, and yes, y'all got lucky because look, there were unfortunately for Lamar Jackson, he had a couple of chances there, and even prior to that, Zay Flowers, he overthrew. Again, you want to put something on Flowers, you want to put the blame on Lamar, but even still, he should have caught that ball, and unfortunately, and even with the Xavier, well, I mean, likely in that drop, not being in bounds. Unfortunately, Justin Tucker had an uncharacteristic field goal miss early on in the game. Then you had like, other stuff going on too. They had other drops and overshooting receivers. Granted, this is a totally new offense that they're showing out there in Baltimore. I still say that Baltimore will win. Like I said, we'll do our division picks before we do our regular picks, but I still say Baltimore wins that division because I think. Oh well, yes, I'll get to all that when we get into, like I said, when Christine joins me for our picks. But it's gonna be interesting to see. Like I said, Xavier Worthy was really good. Like I said, I saw him at Texas. He was really solid. Of course, he broke the speed record over at the combine. But let's also remember too. I mean, the first touchdown that he scored was through an end around. And it seems like the Ravens defense just stopped moving. They literally just stopped like moving. Like, oh, he was already like in the end zone. Like, what? Wait, what? Then you had Eddie Jackson. Unfortunately, we look busted coverage. Unfortunately, we've seen Mr. Jackson do that a few times. So unfortunately, in the last few years, when he was here with the Bears. So unfortunately, this was. I'm sure he's gonna have nightmares about that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I don't know. I mean, you hope this is not one of those losses that come back to bite them in the butt. I'm talking about Baltimore, but the good thing is that it looks they do a good 10 days off to kind of like get decompressed and kind of like think about that loss, and I say like we'll be thinking about toes for a little bit. So, but again, I digress. Now the Chiefs. I mean, look. Look, I know we've had like various guests on. People saying, "Oh, well, the Chiefs are still." Look, I'm still gonna take the field. I mean, I think that the Chiefs it's definitely gonna be interesting to see if the Chiefs kind of keep it going there. I was like, well, like wait till Marquise Hollywood Brown comes in. Like, okay, but let's look. You still had a lot of drop balls. You still had a lot like look, you were let off the hook. Let's be honest. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is with that matchup. But yeah, should be interesting to see what happens. In we'll get into like the latter part of that. But a pretty thrilling game, to start off, and we got another one coming up tonight down in Sao Paulo. We've got the Packers and the Eagles, and like I said, it should be an interesting matchup there. Now, remember this game will be on Peacock. For those of you who are wondering where that, yeah. So it's gonna be all streaming. So like I said, if you don't have Peacock, maybe I know they got a free trial if you want to try to maybe get a friend, try to get a friend to be able to loan you their password. But yeah, I mean it should be an interesting match. Like I said, I mean they got Philadelphia has a whole new defense. They've got Vic Fangio, our old friend here with the Bears. He's new DC. You got Kellen Moore's new OC. So it'll be interesting to see how that flows with that defense and the offense with the Eagles. Also, too, you have the Packers on the flip side. Of course, you've got some guys, some key guys are gone. The Packers defense is still really good. We'll see if Jordan Love, we'll see how that he does against that Eagles defense. Should be interesting to match up to see how all of that kind of plays out. And also too, like being in a different environment. I mean, if you saw the Eagles social media team, they were dancing along. It was like carnival down there at Eagles practice the last couple of days. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see there. And I think Brazil is like in the Eastern time zone, so it shouldn't. So yeah, the jet lag shouldn't really be too big of an issue. Time difference isn't a big deal because I believe, like I said, I think Brazil's in the Eastern time zone, so that part of it shouldn't be too big of a make too big of a deal. So the Green Bay the Eagles matchup, and I think that should be a fun matchup coming up. And like I said, it'll be interesting. Like which I think the key in this matchup is gonna be like who sets that tone early, because I think if you're the Eagles, you want to try to kind of get that going there. If you got try to like maybe set the tone early with your offense, force the Packers to try to like do everything they can, with blitzing and such. So the Eagle is going to be interesting to see how they kind of shake out there. Also, say they're the Packers. I think if you want to try to set the tone there, it's going to be a different. No Aaron Jones there anymore. So you're wonder like, okay, how they're going to get the ball moving and such. Will they try to mix it up? Will they try to make it interesting there? And also too, like keeping which defense can keep both O lines can which one can keep their quarterbacks out upright. That's gonna be interesting to see. Like I said, but we saw what happened with the Chiefs and the Ravens. Lamar, unfortunately, thanks to that, the O line for the Ravens, it was basically like running all over the place. So they're gonna have to do some cleanups there. Same thing here with this game here with the Packers and Eagles. This is gonna be a game where like who can set the tone, who can set that that mood, that tone early on, and it'll be interesting. Like if it is, if like I said, if they decide to do that now. What's interesting is because the Packers are in they're in a hotel like the Packers are like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from the stadium they're gonna be playing in down in Sao Paulo, and I'm just like, wait, huh? And then you've got the Eagles playing like literally down the street, not literally, but there's only like about a 5 minute, like 5-10 minute, I think 15-minute trek with traffic. So yeah, that's going to be interesting there. And like I said, I know they're talking about security and such. So because things are it's a little bit rough down there in Brazil at the moment, and with everything else, with political stuff going on, we won't get into that, but it could be interesting to see like if this kind of like plays a part. I think the NFL is probably scratching their thinking, okay, maybe trying to play a game in Brazil, probably not a good idea. So like I said, I'm sure I think with all the stuff going on, I'm sure it's only gonna be a one-time thing now. Speaking of with like I said, this game is gonna be only on Peacock, so like sure it's only streaming open, and I guess Commissioner Goodell, has kind of put it out there that he wants to do more streaming games. I wish he would just say, hey, just say we like money. And I think this is what this is. Like they're trying to get more money. They think they can get more money through streaming, get people to sign up there, perhaps maybe put all of it. No. And I think, and I've been saying this for months, I feel like for the last couple of years. Like you can put the games on streaming all you want, but people need options, and also but at the same time, folks might not have the money to pay for those streaming services. Like I said, Peacock, they just look, they were $5. They're $6. Like I said, I have Peacock. Like they're gonna be, it's just brought the price $2 for this month coming up for this month. So starting this month, so it's gonna be $7.99, so $5.99. And you really think that people are gonna want to pay? Like I've been saying for months, like people should just better off just paying cable a la carte. This is basically what you're doing. So that's what you say with YouTube TV and with Sling and all these other new streaming type television services. Even I know DirecTV does not. That's a sore spot for some of y'all who don't have the Disney networks at the moment, Disney owned networks at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's just like look, Madden. Same thing with sports. Madden still cares about the bottom line, and I think you can try to get people to come in and such, but yeah, I don't think people are going to want to be paying $8 just to watch a football game. This isn't going to happen. Maybe down the line, maybe like in 10 years, that could be a different, answer. I know some people say, well, more people are cutting the cord. And I think the people who have been cutting the cord, some of them probably realized that they probably should have kept it. So, because the prices of some of those streaming services are up now. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me give it a second here because I know, let me give it a chance to get her set up. A minute here to set up. But yeah, I think the whole like streaming platforms and the with Peacock and everything. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see what happens with that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's going to be continued, as I say. And I see our girl from KXRB, of course, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, join us back with our annual pickles, NFL pickles for week one. Of course, our divisional winners as well. She's our girl, your girl, Miss Christine, the Queen, Manika. Hey, Christine, what's up?
Hi, how are ya?
Doing good. Trying to hold down the fort here, but it's been pretty good. How are you? I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
I know we're doing great. So Sid had to do jury duty, huh?
Yeah, he just stuck there for like the last couple of days. So hopefully he'll be back. Hopefully he'll be back Monday because yeah, it's getting a little, yeah, it gets getting a little testy down there. But like I said, yeah, but I guess do your civic duty, I guess. So what do you think about what do you think about that game? I know you probably just only saw the highlights, but what do you think about that Ravens Chiefs game last night?
We actually did see up until halftime yesterday, and boy, did the Chiefs look fast on offense. And there were a lot of highlights for the Ravens, too, I thought. For Lamar Odom to see the field as well as he did for such a long period of time, you got to give credit to his offensive line there. They're strong, and that just showed last night with his performance. I think both teams are great, and that shows. I just don't think it was the Ravens' night last night. What's interesting to me, Travis Kelce did not get really that many touches, and you can see why when you have all the extra weapons now that Patrick Mahomes has with Worthy, with Rice, and I'm a little bit more curious as to what's gonna happen with his ego in that regard, because if he got so upset with Coach Reed about getting him out for a play and not getting so many touches during the Super Bowl game, can you imagine what he's going to feel now with Patrick Mahomes not passing the ball to him so many times? And when he did pass him the ball, it was a really big play. And then the next pass he got, unfortunately, he dropped it. But yeah, I am going to be curious to see what kind of his role is going to be down the line this season, now that they've got so many key fast weapons on offense.
And I was very glad for NBC. They only show Taylor Swift like once or twice, so that made me feel pretty good. Like, oh, hey, they kept the Taylor Swift side to minimal. I think they kind of got the message from us, some NFL fans.
Well, I don't even think it's because of the message. I think it's because Travis, he didn't do anything. There was no point to show him. Yeah.
Right, that is very true. And like you said, I mean, I'm sure in a very like even keel, I'm sure he's letting Mr. Mahomes have it. So yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like interested to see how that kind of plays out as we get into the season here. Now, what do you think about this matchup coming up? Like I said, we'll do our picks at the bottom, but what do you think about this matchup coming up between the Packers and the Eagles in Sao Paulo? I mean, if you guys have like I said, if you guys have seen the Eagles, they're partying along. It's like carnival down there. Eagles practice the last couple of days. So what do you think about this matchup? Will it be like the setting and all the weirdness that's going on down there? What do you think?
I found out today that Brazil is actually celebrating its independence. Today is Brazil's Independence Day today. So what a great way to celebrate that good old American football, right? And I think just from the videos I've seen of the Packers flying into Sao Paulo and the airport of the fans, I think we all know who they're rooting for is the Packers secretly. And, always with these first games of the seasons, you never know how it's going to go. It's always kind of a crapshoot, as I like to say. But I think it's going to be a pretty good mashup. I will be surprised if we see the same Eagles team as what everyone has been used to seeing. I don't think it's going to be the same team. It's going to be different. I think the Packers are coming in with a chip on their shoulder, like the Ravens were yesterday, coming in with a chip on their shoulder, wanting to prove themselves and wanting to get those big wins. And tonight's the start of that for them.
Well, I think for the Packers, you're probably thinking, make sure you know where your toes are, folks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah. That's like, Isaiah Leg is going to be thinking about toes for the rest of
the season.
Big toes all over the place. But I digress. Now, this is Second Sports on Sports Chicago. Keita McGee now being joined by my good friend, Miss Christine Mack from KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, do you want to do our divisional picks now?
Ooh, sure.
Okay, so and I got Sid's right here. Let me see if I can get it.
Sure, we can do that. You got to remind me some of these. I'm good when it's in front of me, but sometimes you got to remind me who's in what division because it confuses me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is a little bit weird now. Let me see if I can get this. Where the heck did I know he sent it to me. I gotta find it. But live TV, I thought I had it in here. But yeah, I know it. Yeah, I'll say, like I said, live. We're doing this live.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love live, anything live. But yeah, I got him right here. Now we'll start in the AFC. Now in the AFC East, he actually has Buffalo, which I'm kind of to see how I know that's gonna be the fascinating team to watch. Buffalo, of course, you got Buffalo, Miami, New England. You got a whole new coaching staff there. And of course, you got the New York Jets. Now the Jets are interesting because some people are actually picking the Jets to win that division. Now,
Mm-hmm.
say you got Buffalo, I have Miami. Who do you have?
I think it's very interesting how everyone is giving the Jets such this big hype,
Right?
even putting them in the Super Bowl. I don't know what they're seeing because I'm not seeing it right now. Who knows? We could be totally blown out of the water come Monday night. But right now, I think for me, it's definitely between Miami and Buffalo, but I think I'm going to pick Buffalo for now.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, these picks are gonna be changing, folks. So we're gonna get
Yeah.
mulligans here. I have a feeling we're gonna be getting a lot of mulligans. So we'll see what happens that now. The competitive AFC North division should be very competitive. Of course, the in-season hard knocks will be coming up later this season with all four of these teams. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. Now he has
Mm.
Baltimore despite that loss. I also have Baltimore despite that loss yesterday. What about you?
It's kind of interesting that division because it is up for grabs. A lot of it. I think the Steelers, they're always kind of like that wild card team anyway. They have been for the last couple of seasons. And then when you look at, oh gosh, it's really tough. I still think Baltimore has it in them. When you look at the Bengals, though, you don't know what the future is with Jamar Chase at the moment just because of that contract controversy. I still got faith in Joe Money. I really do. I like him. I like his hair, what he's got going on at the moment. But after seeing what I saw last night with the Ravens, they still are a really good team. There's a lot of good moments there. Definitely some kinks that they have to work out, but I do still think that the Ravens could take their division there.
Yeah, that should be it should be fascinating to follow that division,
Yeah.
especially now. Another division I think in the AFC should be interesting to watch is the South. I mean, you've got Jacksonville, Houston, Tennessee, who the Bears play coming up. Looks like we'll
Mhm.
preview that game after the break. And excuse me, just like of course they got all these pop-ups going on here, some of this stuff here, but but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But Indianapolis, round out that division, and I'm picking. I guess I'm drinking the Houston Kool-Aid. I guess because you got CJ Stroud, I got Stephon Diggs now down there. You got a really solid defense, so I think Houston's going to prove that they're not a fluke. Yes, I'm sure there are going to be teams that be gunning for it because they're no longer the hunter that kind of came out of nowhere. And now they're the hunted. So I think Houston will do just enough to win that division. Sid agrees. He also has Houston. So what about you? Who do you have?
I hope Stephon Diggs does a whole lot more than what he did with the Bills because it was
Yeah.
almost like he was non-existent really for the last couple of seasons now. But I still think the Texans have something, so I will say probably they'll win the division.
Yeah, that should be an interesting division there. Now, going to the AFC West, of course, you got the defending champion Chiefs. Okay, you got Denver. Your hubby Chris's Denver squad.
Yeah.
The Raiders. We'll see if Devontae Adams will still be happy there in about a month. We'll ask him that question. Ask him that question again. And of course, you got the upstart Los Angeles Chargers, so San Diego, Los Angeles, whatever, however you want to call them. But yeah, I have Kansas City. Let's say everyone gets injured and like Mahomes gets hurt or gets like mono or something. I'm not wishing that on him, but a bunch of pains. But yeah, I have KC. So is Sid. Who do you have in that division?
I think the Chargers can definitely have a better season this year than what they've been used to. They have a lot of new great facilities thanks to Harbaugh making that strong request, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But after what we saw last night, I'm not going to be surprised if KC does win the division, even if they have a couple of tough weeks, because after what we all saw last year, they will have a couple of tough weeks. But I still think they can pull out the division.
Should be interesting there now. Now on to the wild card. Now Sid's wild card, he has the Bengals, Miami, and the Jets. So he actually has three teams coming out of the AFC East. Okay, that's gonna be That's going to be a little interesting there now for me, and I've been back and forth on this. I have Buffalo against my better judgment. I'm hoping they surprise me. I have Buffalo, Cincy, and I have this might sound weird, but I have Indy coming out of beginning one of the wild card spots.
I think I'm going to do, because for whatever reason, everybody sees it, the Jets, Bengals, and then Chargers.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, look, the Jets somehow end up winning the AFC East. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. There's only two things can only go here for this Jet squad. Either they win the division, they win the East, or they end up missing or they do get into the wild card, just sneaking there, or they end up missing the playoffs. Those are only three options that they have at this point for them. But we'll see what happens. Now going to the NFC here, we'll start in the East, and Sid has Philadelphia. Coming out of the East, with the whole new regime, in the coordinator side, Nick Sirianni. We'll see if I don't know if he's on the hot seat, but he shouldn't be. But we'll see. But you got Philadelphia. I also have Philadelphia because I don't trust Dallas. So what say you? Who do you think comes out of the NFC East?
I think I'm still going to trust Dallas. I really do, just because somehow Jerry and those Cowboys are going to pull it out. And, Mike McCarthy, his job is on the line for this season. You already know that Dak Prescott's on the last season of his contract, too. You already have CeeDee Lamb locked down now. So I am going to, I'm going to say the Cowboys.
All right. Okay. Well, like I said, everything I'm hearing is either going to be Dallas or Philadelphia. So we'll just see what happens there now. NFC North now. Sid actually has a surprise winner here. He has Green Bay. Well, not really not really a surprise per se, but he has Green Bay winning that division. I have Detroit winning that division. So what say you?
You know what? We were talking about this the other day. I was going back and forth between the Packers and Detroit. I did pick the Packers. Reluctantly.
Reluctantly picks the Packers. I think anybody team in this division with the Packers. Now going to the South. I have Atlanta coming out of that South. I think with all the inroads that they made, I know they got a new coaching staff down there, but I think with Kirk Cousins there, they got a lot of weapons. I know Kyle Pitts might is still questionable, but considering that division, I picking Atlanta, and so does Sid. So who do you have in that division?
I would go with Atlanta. I was kind of going back and forth with that one. I'd say Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, I think that's going to be the trendy pick here too. So we'll be interested to see what happens in that. But it should be a fascinating NFC South. Usually, for a good reason, not for the bad. But
yeah.
Last but not least, on the division side, the West, you got San Francisco. I have San Francisco win that division. So does Sid. I think they probably won't win 14 games like they did last year, but I think they will do just enough to win that division. So I have San Fran. So does Sid. Who do you have in NFC West?
San Francisco. Yeah.
All right. Cool. We're all on the same page there. Now, let's see. Sid's wild cards. Let's see. He has Detroit, Dallas, and the Rams. Me, I have this might surprise some folks, but I have Washington coming out again in one of the wild card spots, and I have Green Bay in one of the wild card spots, and I've been back and forth with this last one. Goodness. I'll say. Okay, I guess you know what? I'll say Tampa. I don't know why. I just think that. Now that Baker Mayfield seems to be settling in. Of course, you still got Mike Vittens. You still got Chris Scott. You still got solid, but you still got Vita Veal on the defense. I think they will just do just enough to get into those wild card spots. What do you think?
I was gonna go with the Lions, Rams, and also the Bucks.
I
wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The Bucks could be a sneaky team this year.
Yeah, they got a solid schedule too. Like I said, they still got a lot of weapons. And I don't think a lot of people are really talking about Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Making that move. I know Atlanta's kind of like the trendy pick in that South division. But yeah, I think Tampa could probably surprise some folks. I really do. Now, we're not going to do the Bears record just yet. We're going to wait till after we do our picks for the Bears for the Bears pick. But we're doing our NFL pickos, and one of us are finally gonna beat Sid. We're gonna do. Someone's gonna.
I was close.
You were close. You were like, yeah, you were close. Well, we were both close, but yeah, we're definitely gonna get him this time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a really quick break. We're gonna do our week 1 picks coming up next. Lakina McGee, Christine Manika from KXRB. Join us for the rest of the show. Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago as we go back deep into the picks. More picks coming up right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Thank you for clearing the dishes.
Here they are. Careful with your boo-boo keys. Better than your babies. That is pretty impressive, actually. I was very surprised when I saw that box. Easy. Oh, unboxing. Ooh, do they have special covers on them? Well, those look nice. And they're already gripped
Hey, this is
and
Dr. J, and I
everything.
listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Can you see? That's right, play with your toys.
And we're rocking on here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. You can find my Keita McGee on the Twitter, KXRB on the IG, along with my buddy Miss Christine Mack from KXRB. Joining us today for her usual Friday appearances. And of course, this season, of course, with this football season, so we got our pick'ems going on here. We're going to be beating, look, hopefully after 2 years since we started doing this, we're going to finally beat Sid. So yeah, we were both very close last year, but yeah, we're gonna get it going here, no doubt. Now,
hasn't it only been 2 years that we've been doing this?
I think maybe on here. I think this might be our third or fourth year doing it overall.
Okay.
say, yeah, I think this is like their third year doing this, on right here on Sports Zone Chicago. But even still, I think we're definitely going to get it going here now. Now, this is actually a super rare that we get a Friday matchup coming up. So let's get right to it. Of course, we talked about it in Sao Paulo, Brazil. You got the Packers and the Eagles down there in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I've got Sid's pick right here. Let me see if I can get it up here. Here, all right. So he has Philadelphia, and I think this.
Ooh.
Yeah, he does, and I think I think the number is like it's like 4.5. I think the Eagles are favored last I saw it. So I mean, it should be interesting to see how that match is going to be really interesting to see kind of how how it kind of plays out to see because time won't be an issue too because I think they're in the Eastern time, so I think Brazil is, so that shouldn't be an issue for either one of these teams. Jet lag maybe a little bit, but they should be able to recover from that. I'm gonna pick. This might be one of my upsets, especially. But I'm picking Green Bay. I think Green Bay could be one of those teams that might surprise some people this early on. I know some people already say that. Oh well, it should be Philadelphia, no problem. But I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick Green Bay. I think Green Bay will do just enough to win this game. Setting the tone early, they really need to do that. They want to have a chance at this.
Yeah, I'm picking Green Bay too. Jordan Love, he looked great last year. I expect nothing less this year, especially with Christian Watson getting back at it, getting healthy again. And you know, with the time difference, it's going to be an interesting time to see how they're all going to adjust because it's going to be a late night for everybody in Brazil. So we get it easy over here in North America.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it's gonna be I know it's gonna be a lot, like you said, they're celebrating independence down there in Brazil, so it's gonna be a lot of a lot of flair and pomp and circumstance. There's gonna be a lot of bands playing. You saw a little bit of that during the Eagles practices, the last couple of days. So it's gonna be a lot of fun down there. But I don't know if the NFL is gonna make this a habit. I don't think so. I should see. Interesting what happens with that one now. The first game of this one should be it's gonna be a very intriguing one here. You've got the Steelers and the Falcons. Christine, you start this one for us, please.
I put a question mark by the Falcons for my pick because I don't know what to expect from either of these teams. It's kind of been an interesting situation with the Steelers just because Mike Tomlin was playing with everybody's emotions of who's going to be the quarterback, and we all knew it was going to be Russell Wilson. But they've just had a lot of interesting turn of events, not just with the quarterback position, but with, the O-line defense. So I really don't know what to expect out of this Steelers team. But Kirk Cousins, I feel like he's got not a chip on his shoulder, but he's got a little bit to prove after leaving Minnesota injured, getting traded, and now he has his new home in Atlanta. So let's see what he can do with the Falcons.
Could be just hopefully he'll be effective because, like I said, he hasn't played in one. So I'm wondering, it's how that's really going to be the question is how is he going to look? So yeah, that's going to be the interesting part here. So, like I said, I got Atlanta winning the division, so I am going to pick Atlanta, and I'm interested to see, like it's been mentioned, how if we see Michael Penix Jr. in case Cousins does struggle, whatever. So that's going to be the number one question for me. Are we going to be seeing him in that freight? So that should be going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, Sid also has Atlanta, so we start off with a sweep.
Yeah.
So yep. So yeah. So I guess we'll see if that's a good or a bad thing. And of course, also to remember with Russell Wilson, he is battling a calf injury, so that's going to be interesting to see. Will we see Justin Fields?
Oh boy.
Yeah, as part of that rotation. So yeah, that's going to be a interesting stories there, beyond all that. So that's going to be fascinating to see. So we'll see what happens there. Now going to the next matchup, you got Arizona and Buffalo. Now, this is intriguing because look, Arizona's going down there. It should be nice. It'll be nice and warm down there. In Buffalo, you don't know how Buffalo's going to look with a lot of the new faces and such. You still got Josh Allen. The defense is still not great, but they're okay. Again, this is, I guess, my better judgment on picking Buffalo because I just think that that place is gonna be rocking, and I don't want to say Coach McDermott's on the hot seat, but I think he is on the hot seat because of everything on. So yeah, I'm picking Buffalo. What say you?
Yeah, that Bills Mafia, that stadium is just very hard to play in just because the fans are very passionate there. And my pick is kind of based on how many video games Kyler Murray has played in the offseason. So that's why I'm picking the Bills.
Good. Interesting. That's an interesting way of looking at that. I never thought about it that way.
Yes, thank you.
He's actually, yeah, I was about to say he's actually said that he hasn't played video games that much. Been preparing, so we'll see if that
We'll
pays,
see.
we'll see if that pays dividends for him. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. there now too, so that should help him. So, excuse me, and I think that's why Sid's got Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked that that's an upset, but okay, we'll see what happens there. Now let's see. You got the Patriots and the Bengals. Interesting matchup here. We'll see. We'll see if Drake May, of course, Jacoby Brissett is, the starting quarterback as of right now. You got Cincinnati. It looks like Jamar Chase. He said that he is going to play, whether or not they are close on a contract. We'll see if we can get some news there within the next couple of days before the game starts. But yeah, even with this, I'm still picking Cincinnati, and so is Sid. Sid also has Cincy. What do you think?
Yeah, Cincinnati too. It's a new team. They're rebuilding. And I wish Gerard Mayo and his team nothing but the best this season, despite the challenges that they're going to have.
Yeah, and they are going to have some challenges. Let's be honest here. But should be just another list now. We got an early AFC South matchup here. You got Houston and Indianapolis. Now, I had Indianapolis as one of the wild card spots. We'll see how Anthony Richardson looks. Coming back from injury, he looked good from what we saw them in the preseason. Houston, of course, look now, like I said, no longer the Hunters. Now they're hunted. We'll see how CJ Stroud looks. You got Stephon Diggs over there now. That defense is probably going to be in like a top 10 at the very least defense. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Tennessee. I mean, no, not Tennessee. My bad. I'm talking about Houston. My bad. Sorry.
I'm picking the Texans too. This one was kind of an easy one for me.
Well, I guess some of these are for Sip on the other side. He actually has Indy in an upset.
Boy, this jury duty is getting to his head.
Well, look, and the good news is we're gonna get an early lead on him early on. So let's might actually be a good thing. So, okay, another interesting one here also on CBS noon games. You got the Jags and the Dolphins. You start this one this time.
I know the Dolphins, they just signed one of their major players to a 3-year contract about a couple of hours ago now. Tua, he's looking ready to go. The Cheetah, he's ready to go. And you never know what you're going to get out of the Jaguars. I don't know what to expect out of Trevor Lawrence. His rookie year, he had a down year. Second year, great. Third year, down year. Could this be an up year? I don't know. But for now, I'm picking the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm also picking the Dolphins too. Like I said, I think they're just a little bit upper class than the Jags are. Like I said, I don't know what we're going to get from Trevor Lawrence and the rest of that Jags squad. That defense is a little bit suspect. So, yeah, I think the Dolphins, I picked the Dolphins too. And so does he also has a Dolphin. So, back to normal being both here. But, this is Second Sports on Sports of Chicago, of course, like Lakina McGee and our girl Christine Matt from KXRB join us for our NFL pick'ems for week 1. We got the Panthers and the Saints, an early NFC South matchup. And Carolina, oh God, Jesus. I mean,
it's a mess.
They can't be any, as I'll check a cue from Sid, they can't be any worse than they were last year, can they? I mean, it is a mess, like you said, Christine. And I think it's going to be close, but yeah, I know that Alvin Kamara, I think is a little bit banged up, but they're calling the rest of the group should do just enough to win that game. So I'm picking the Saints.
I'm picking the Saints too. Yeah, there's no way that they could get as worse as what they did. I'm not, counting out Bryce Young yet. I still have hope for him for sure. Let's see how this season goes, but I think the Saints are going to take this one.
And Sid also agrees. He also has the Saints. So back to normal with us. Let's see, going back and forth. That's pretty interesting. All right, last new games before, of course, we go of course till the Tennessee Bears game. We're going to save for last, of course. The Vikings and the Giants. You start this one. Good go, Christine.
I went with the Giants just because it's a home game for them because they're both kind of in limbo right now. I feel like this is This is a big game for Daniel Jones. This is the first game for him in a while since his big injury last season. And, this is a whole new Vikings team now. So we'll see what Coach O'Connell's going to do with these guys. And same thing with the Giants. But because it's a home game, I'm going to go with them.
That's the reason why I'm even picking them, is because it's at home. And they were in Minnesota, I probably would say, yeah, I'd probably pick Minnesota. But since they're going to be at MetLife, I think I'm picking the Giants. It'll be a close game, maybe not a good close game. It might be one of those like 9-6, 6-3, back in the day NFL type games. But I could definitely see the Giants win. But then again, you never know. Minnesota, look, Sam Darnold might surprise. Suppose we might get earlier Sam Darnold,
right?
So we'll see. And Sid also has the Giants. So yeah, watch Sam Darnold throw for like 3 touchdowns and like just after get like 280 receiving yards or something like that. It just might happen. So we'll see what happens there. Now, first of the 3:00 games in the AFC West, you got the Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this is an interesting matchup because of the fact that, of course, you got Jim Harbaugh, his first game back in the NFL as coach in many years. I kind of feel like Devontae Adams, I guess, I'm sure he's going to get sick of people saying, oh, is he happy there and whatever. But I think the Chargers, we'll see how Justin Herbert looks. He took a little bit rusty. The defense is still pretty good. Again, it's going to be one of these ugly games, but I'm picking the Chargers. I think the Chargers will do good. And plus, they're at home, too. I think that should definitely help. Another place is going to be rocking as well. So I think the Chargers, so it also has the Chargers.
I'm picking the Chargers too. As much as I'm looking forward to a Minshew time, Chargers, I think, should have a good showing here.
Yeah, we'll see if Devontae Adams loses after the game. If they do lose, so we'll see what happens there. Now, I heard your hubby Chris in the background. You got the Broncos. You got the Broncos. What's up, Chris? You got the Broncos and the Seahawks. Now, some people actually have the Broncos, perhaps maybe getting one of those wild card spots. I'm seeing it. Of course, you got Bo Nix as a QB. Seattle,
and a captain.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that's pretty. I think that's the first time ever for the Broncos that a rookie's been named captain. Because I don't even think John Elway was voted captain. I think. Well, since he didn't start doing the captain thing until like in the 2000s, but I don't think he would have been. He probably would have been captain back then had they had it. But then you got the Seahawks, the whole new regime. You still got Geno Smith. You still got DK Metcalf. I guess only because they're at home, I'm picking this Seattle. Sorry, Chris, love ya, but I'm picking Seattle.
Who are you picking, Broncos or Seahawks?
Broncos.
Oh yes. He's agreeing with me. Broncos. He says Bo Nix looks good. Okay.
He does. He really does. I've been very impressed with. Like I said,
he's agreeing with you.
Yeah, I mean, because when I saw him, and because when I saw
play well, I think they're going to be a wild card team this year.
Oh.
Well, no. Like I said, I mean that there are a lot of people they're agreeing with that agree that they might end up being one of those surprise teams, so they may sneak in there and get one of the wild card spots.
At least that's more likely than the Jets being a wild card contender.
Look, I've seen people put the Jets going to the Super Bowl. I saw a couple of people that I know that we've had on the show.
I know.
Yeah, right. I mean, so I'm like, oh, well, yeah. If I had to choose, I think I'd probably the Broncos getting one of the wild card spots in the Jets. But that's just me. But yeah, Sid's got Seattle, so you've got a little bit of disagreement there. But look, nothing would surprise me in the NFL, so that'll be interesting matchup there. And let's see here. Okay, 3:25. This is the big NFL game of the week. Of course, Tom Brady makes his official. Official debut here in this game. Of course, you got Cleveland. The Browns hosting the Cowboys. You got let's see, Nick Chubb. It looks like he's going to be coming back after the injury from last year. Of course, you got Dak. CeeDee Lamb finally got his money. Of course, Ezekiel Elliott's back there. You got the defense on both ends. I think TB is going to have a nice matchup for his debut. Boy, this is a tough one, but only because they're at home, I'm picking Cleveland.
Because I'm still kind of boycotting Deshaun Watson, I'm going to pick the Cowboys. And, I got to say, shout out to the NFL for kind of giving Brady some sort of boundaries if he is going to be a part NFL owner. Yeah. And it will be interesting to see how that's going to kind of play into his game calling, because that's going to lead to some disadvantages for him. I feel like not having total access, but just enough access. I feel like he knows the game really well, right? So I feel like his insight's gonna still be pretty insightful.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I'm sure Dak and Deshaun Watson, however, and that's understandable if you still feel it that way. I'm sure, getting some guidance from him, I think that should definitely help, and that should definitely help them in that front, maybe even with life lessons too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get the of course, Fox has a double header, so they get the spotlight to themselves. So it should be interesting there. And tell Chris that you got our for that Broncos Seahawks game, we got our buddy Spiro Diaz former Adam Marshalletta with a call of that game on CBS. So hey Chris, you got one of the a good one here calling the game for your Broncos. So
you got good callers for the game, for the Broncos game, Chris.
yeah, they're gonna make it entertaining if nothing
They're
else.
gonna be entertaining.
Yes, they'll make it entertaining.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, for like the
Oh,
two people,
he's interested. He's intrigued.
yeah. Oh well, good. I'm glad to hear that. But I think this should be another intriguing matchup too. Even though, yeah, I'm sure there's probably not gonna be a lot of people watching this game on Fox. It's gonna be the split coverage. But they got the Commanders and the Bucks. So start this one, Christine.
The Bucks, just because it's a home game, I don't know what is going to come out of both of these teams actually. So that's why I kind of went with the Bucks. And plus, Baker got that big contract during the offseason. Let's see him put that money to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you. I'm also picking Tampa because they're at home. Vita Vila. God, I know his name is like a lot longer than both my arms, so I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his whole name. But yeah, it's gonna be. I hope the line for the Commanders can keep Jay Daniels upright. Bless you. Yeah, it should be, but it should be an entertaining game nonetheless. So I know this. I'll be watching this game on this lovely computer screen here. So in addition to the Cowboys Browns game. But yeah, it should be a fun one down there in Tampa. But yeah, I'm also picking Tampa. And Sid has Washington. So we'll see. It should be it should be a good matchup too. It should be an interesting matchup nonetheless. Now, the Sunday night game, a good one here. You got the Rams and the Lions. Now, the Rams are interesting because, of course, no more Aaron Donald. He's retired, but they still got a really solid, really young defensive line. So that should be interesting there. Of course, you got Matt Stafford there. Of course, you got Puka Nacua. We'll see if he can, duplicate what he did last year. And also, of course, you got Cooper Kupp as well. But Detroit, I think they're kind of in a class by itself. I think they really are still really from the NFC Championship loss to San Francisco. I'm still a little bit peeved about that game. I know they still are down there, up there in Detroit, and I think they're going to send a message to early that we're coming. We're going to try to come for the NFC title, and they're going to be the first. The Rams going to be the first victim. So yeah, it should be a good one. But yeah, I'm going to be Detroit. Detroit will pull away late, I think.
Yeah, that was a cough, by the way, but thank you.
No. Bless you nonetheless.
Yeah, so this is the first matchup together that they've had since the postseason and since, Stafford's big reunion back with the Lions organization. I do think the Lions are going to come out victorious. Cooper Kupp is healthy again. I still think the Rams are going to be a great team. They're going to be a great organization. And I think this offseason was a great opportunity for the Lions to work out those kinks and to get back into the postseason and potentially into the big time show too.
Yeah, so hopefully they can look. They're gonna want. I'm sure they're gonna be even hungrier now. I'm sure,
especially Dan Campbell. He's ready.
He's gonna be very good at taking heads off of dolls, but I hope not. But we'll see what happens there. And Sid agrees. He also has Detroit, so that should be an interesting match. Should be a good matchup there, nonetheless, on Sunday night. Now, the Monday nighter, of course, you only got one. The Jets at San Francisco. Talk about another team that wants to get that taste out of their mouth from last year's Super Bowl. The Trent Williams, Brent Ayuk situations, contract finally is over with. Williams got his guarantee money. Ayuk got his new deal. The Jets, of course, we'll see how Aaron Rodgers looks. He hasn't played in almost a year. So
only took 2 plays.
Yeah, I didn't get to see a play last year. I mean, are you kidding me? Like by the time I sat down, like he had gotten hurt. Like what just happened? But I think San Francisco. I think they want to kind of now they got everybody in order. They picked up a couple of guys from the off season. like I said, they got some of their guys back into the fold. I think San Francisco, they want to, this is kind of like, I don't want to say it's a redemption tour with for Kyle Shanahan and the rest of that 49ers group, but I think they really want to show folks that, yeah, the one might be close a little bit, but yeah, I think San Fran will do just enough to win this game. I think San Fran, it won't be a blowout, but I think San Francisco will pull away late.
I think so too. I picked the 49ers for this one. And keep in mind, this is the last year of Brock Purdy's rookie contract. So they got another big contract to work out come next season too. So they got to get every last little bit out of Brock Purdy what they can.
We'll see how he looks now. It should be interesting to see what happens with that. And also Sid also has San Francisco too. We'll see how the defense does against Brock Purdy. So it should be an entertaining matchup too. Hopefully no one gets hurt. Let's hope no one gets hurt. But we'll see. It should be a fun one there on Monday night. Now, of course, last but not least, excuse me. You got the beloved, the Chicago Bears against the Tennessee Titans, and I think this game will be interesting because I know people are going to be saying that, oh, how are you got Caleb Williams, of course, on one end. You've got the Titans, kind of I don't want to say a bunch of no-name folks because I think the Titans can kind of, they got a new regime. Of course, you got Sean Callahan, and it's going to be interesting to see like how this sort of like plays out. Brian Callahan, I should say. We'll see how they look. I mean, they got a whole new, for the most part, no Derrick Henry. Yeah, the defense is sort of, and of course you got. We had our buddy, our new friend Laura Walsh, who is from the NBC affiliate down there in Nashville, and I think some people were saying that that they may be able to kind of like make some inroads for this new regime, but the Bears, I mean the Bears should do just enough to win this game. I'm picking the Bears. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout like some people say, oh, they're gonna blow out Tennessee. I don't think they will because you still got like a lot of question marks. That O-line is still makes me nervous. I don't know how you're going to look against
the
Montez
whole team
Sweat.
Makes me nervous.
Well, that's going to go without saying. And yeah, I think hopefully as long as they don't stick it up like they did last year against Green Bay, they should be okay. I think the Bears will just have to win this game. I'm picking the Bears, and so is Sid. What do you think?
The hype is there. The energy is there. The city is behind this team. And, for once in a very long time, you could feel the unification around the Bears. And you could feel that everybody is in a good mood before the first game of the season. So, and I'm in agreement with you. I don't think they're going to blow out Tennessee. I do think there's still going to be some kinks because, again, as great as Caleb Williams looked during the preseason games, you got to remember, too, he was more likely than not facing second stringers and potentially third stringers too. So now this is where the real football comes into play. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he's going to do with Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet, all those guys, Montez Sweat, everybody out there on the field come Sunday. So I am going to pick the Bears.
And what is and I forgot to say what's my my final record for the Bears. I have them at 9-8. Just missed the playoffs. It also has them at 9-8. I think they just missed getting into the playoffs. What do you think? What do you think the final record's going to be?
If they can be 9-8 or an even 500, I'll take it. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, so that should be interesting to see what happens there. And yeah, that is your schedule for week 1 of the NFL. Great picks. Look, we set to step down on a couple of picks, but yeah, it should be a fun Sunday coming up. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Lakeem McGee, City, no City Brad, of course, but we do have our girl Christine Mack from KXRB joining us as we wrap things up. Now, over the last few weeks, with the sports, what do you think? I mean, do what caught your eye these last few weeks? Is it the Sky? Still right there to dead heat with the Dream. They got a big game coming up. And also I won't ask you about any White Sox because whatever. But at this point, let's get to it. But what caught your eye these last couple weeks in sports?
I gotta say the tournament, the FedEx Cup for golf for the PGA. You can never count Scotty Scheffler out. What a great win there. Chris and I were watching it, and it's great to see pretty much the American dream. You can be arrested 1 second and then win it all in the next couple of months. So it's just cool to see how his story is played out this season, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm trying to think. It's been kind of quiet other than that in the world of
Right.
sports, I feel like.
Yeah, it has, and of course, he gets that $10 million bonus. So I'm sure,
Yeah.
they'll go come ahead with his son's college fund. I'm sure he and his wife are going to be very pleased with that. But yeah, I mean that should be that is definitely a good spot for him. I know you say he's going to chill for a few weeks, so good for he's definitely earned that. Now, excuse me for I would say for the Sky's concern, we'll talk about that real quick. They play the Sparks coming up tonight, later on tonight. That's gonna be on Ion for those of you who have Ion. Just check your local. Well, no, it's not a streaming service. It's a local station. Check your local listings in your area. It's on every station in the country. Relax, folks. You can watch the game if you want. It's been like that all season long. I know people are kind of slow to that, but yeah, I mean they're tied with Atlanta now. They do have a tiebreaker because of all the weird like tiebreakers, how they do it in the
Hmm.
WNBA. But do you think? I know they do play Atlanta in a couple of weeks, and I know they got the schedule's kind of even for both of these teams. So do you think this guy can pull it out and get that last walk, get that last playoff spot?
It all depends on who wants him more. That always seems to be the case with these teams that are just on the edge of it. You've already seen historic rookie seasons, not just out of Caitlin Clark, obviously, but with Angel Reese. She's had quite the explosive season, and I think the Sky got a pretty good deal out of that draft when it came to picking her up.
Yeah, absolutely not. So she's been playing very well, of course. We just see who they vote for Rookie of the Year. I would say maybe
Yeah.
try to do it a tie. That way, votes will on either side will go nuts. But again, I digress. But yeah, I'll be interested to see. Like I said, I think that matchup, coming up in a couple weeks against Atlanta will definitely be the key there. Who gets if they win, great, they can make the playoffs. If they don't, and that's the reason why they don't go to the playoffs. I mean, that's going to be interesting to see what happens
Hmm.
there. But yeah, it should be a fun last couple of weeks of WNBA regular season. And yeah, congrats, like I said, congrats to the Fever for going back. I think it's like the first time in 6 or 7 years that they back in the playoffs. Looks like the Las Vegas starting to figure things out. I think they like the fact that no one's really talking about them. So, but
Hmm.
Asia Wilson's been amazing. So I'm glad she's finally
Yes.
getting her due finally. So yeah, I think that's gonna be should be a fun next couple weeks in the WNBA. Now, the U.S. Open is about to come to an end. For the first time since '06, we're gonna have both an American female and male in the final, which is singles final, which is we got Jessica Perugla, who was actually on the brink of retiring. She was going to retire about this time last year, but she's been great. Her story, she unfortunately gets to play Ariana Sabalenka, who,
Hmm.
sorry, Ariana, you're going to have people going to be cheering for Jessica. Sorry, tomorrow night. Sorry. I'm sure she knows that. Now,
Yeah.
Francis Diabo and Taylor Fritz, that should be a good one coming up later tonight. That should be a good raise, but I think it looks like we're finally getting like a good chapter on the men's side for American tennis.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit here and there. It's always exciting to see America coming out on top with big majors like this.
Yeah, hopefully, whoever gets out of that, whoever gets out of that will win. I think it'll be the first time this was Andy Roddick did back in '06 will be the first time for a man in any Grand Slam. So hopefully, whoever gets out of
Yeah.
that semifinal, hopefully one of them will win it, and hopefully they can finally get rid of that stench, that long drought of men in tennis. So it should be interesting to see what happens with that. Now, real quick before we wrap up, your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I mean, they got a nice win down there in College Station against the
Yeah.
Aggies.
They did. Number 5 in the polls. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, I mean they played they played Northern Illinois, the Huskies. Yeah, they shouldn't have trouble with Northern, but again, they lost to
Yeah.
Marshall a couple of years ago. But
Right.
they've had a little bit of trouble with the MAC teams, but I think Marcus Freeman has his guys, playing very well, and it'll be interesting to see like kind of like how it's over because like I said with the way it goes since Notre Dame's not in the conference, I think they only go as high as like number 6. So even if they do
Number 5, yeah.
number five, yeah, sorry, I've seen it different, but yeah, even if they end up going to that 5, either like 3 or 4 in the polls. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but they're still going to be number 5 in the playoff rankings. They may not be able to get that bye, but it'll be interesting to see what Notre Dame does, especially with the coming up next this season. But yeah, like I said, USC had a big win against LSU on Monday. Some of the big Georgia sent a message saying, "Hey, look, we're still here, folks. Don't get it twisted." Alabama had a nice showing. So yeah, a really good opening weekend for college football.
Absolutely. And you know what? If Notre Dame does end up going to the playoffs, I've been saying that number 5 seed, that's always a very sneaky spot to be in. So I wouldn't always count out the number 5 seed in any sort of playoff situation. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not. So it'll be to see what happens with that squad. And also beginning into the season should be a fun kind of fun thing coming up here with the college football the next few months. So yeah, anything else before we disperse?
I think that's it.
All right. So with that said, you can follow my Keita McGee on the Twitter. Actually, is going to get an IG.
And then you can follow me at @Manika_KXRB.
All right, and of course you can follow Sid at SidKid80 on the Twitter and as well as Instagram. All right there for you. I'm sure I'm sure once he starts posting stuff, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully he'll be back. Hopefully he'll be back Monday, and hopefully he'll be done with it after today. But yeah, of course you can catch Second City Sports every Monday and Friday noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Again, noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Second City Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels are right there. You can also catch the audio version on Ward Media. If you get the Ward Media app or wherever you get your apps, just type in the Ward Media. It's all right there for you. Get the latest episodes on the audio version of that. Also, too, of course, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere, as Sid would say, on Roku TV. Of course, if you got Roku TV, wherever you get your apps, you can catch, type in Sports Zone Chicago. You can catch our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, What's Up Cuz, and so much more. I know What's Up Cuz is going to have a lot of great stuff coming up tomorrow. Also not only with college, but also high school football as well. So it's all right there for you anytime, anywhere on Roku television. So enjoy all the sports. You've got NFL. Happy NFL weekend, everybody. Also to college football, baseball as it finishes up. And so much more. It's for Christine. I'm Lakeena. Stay safe out there, folks. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you guys next week. I'll do it. Go Bears! Holla!